The door creaked open like a thunderclap in the silence of my empty house. And there he was, me nephew Alex, frozen in the hallway, his eyes wide as saucers, backpack slipping from his shoulder to the floor with a thud that echoed my pounding heart. I was on my knees in the dim light of my bedroom, clutching an old leather journal filled with scribbled confessions I'd buried for decades, tears blurring the ink of words I'd never spoken aloud. I love men, and I've always been afraid. In that split second, shame crashed over me like a Midwest storm. But before I could scramble to my feet and stammer an excuse, Alex's voice cut through the air, steady and small. Uncle Nick. Me too. That moment in the fading autumn light of our quiet Ohio suburb shattered the fragile walls I'd built around my secrets, pulling us both into a whirlwind of truths we'd hidden from the world. I was 42, a high school history teacher who'd spent his life mapping out everyone else's pasts while dodging his own. Raised in the Rust Belt heartland where different was a whisper you learned to swallow. Alex, my sister Laura's boy, just 16 and all gangly limbs and unspoken storms, had come over unannounced after school. His usual afternoon escape from a home fractured by his parents' endless arguments. We'd always been close. He called me his cool uncle for the way I'd sneak him extra chapters of sci-fi novels and late-night talks about stars, but this was the fault line we'd never seen coming. I wiped my face with the back of my hand, the journal tumbling shut like a guilty secret, and forced myself to meet his gaze. His cheeks were flushed, not with judgment, but something raw relief. Fear. Alex. Kiddo, I didn't hear you come in. I managed, my voice cracking like dry leaves underfoot. He stepped inside, closing the door softly behind him. The click loud in the tension-thick air. The room smelled of old books and the faint lavender from the sachet Laura had sent last Christmas, a reminder of family ties that now felt both anchor and chain. He dropped to sit cross-legged on the rug beside me, his sneakers scuffed from kicking at life's unanswered questions. And for a long moment, neither of us spoke. Outside, the maple trees rustled in the breeze, their red gold leaves a fleeting beauty against the gray sky, much like us, I thought, clinging to moments before the winter stripped us bare. Finally, he broke the silence, his words tumbling out like he'd been holding them back for years. I saw you reading that, and I get it, because last week at school, I kissed Jamie under the bleachers, and it felt right. Uncle Nick. But Mom and Dad, they'd freak. Everyone would. His voice trembled, but his eyes held mine, fierce and pleading, a mirror to the boy I'd once been, hiding Polaroids of crushes in my sock drawer. Jamie, Alex's best friend since kindergarten, the one with the easy laugh and freckles like constellations. I'd seen the way Alex lit up around him, dismissed it as teenage puppy love. But now, it clicked, the late texts, the flushed excuses, the way he'd linger after dropping off at soccer practice. My chest tightened, a flood of memories rising unbidden. Summer of '98. When I was Alex's age, stealing glances at Tommy Riley during 4th of July fireworks in our Cleveland backyard, the air thick with sparklers and unspoken longing. Tommy, with his baseball cap backward and grin that could melt steel, had been my first everything, first laugh shared in secret, first hand held under the bleachers of our own high school field. But when Dad caught us whispering one night by the garage, his face had twisted not with rage, but disappointment so deep it carved canyons in my soul. Boys don't do that. Nick, he'd growled, voice low to spare Mom the shame. You fix it, or you break this family. I'd fixed it. All right, pushed Tommy away, buried the journal's early pages, and built a life of quiet solitude, teaching kids about revolutions they could never imagine fighting in their own hearts. Now, staring at Alex's earnest face, that old wound reopened, bleeding fresh. Hey, I said softly, reaching out to squeeze his shoulder, feeling the fragile strength in his frame. You're not alone in this. Not anymore. He leaned into the touch, a sob escaping him like a dam breaking, and I pulled him close, the weight of 2 generations' silence pressing down on us. We sat like that until the room grew dim, the first stars pricking the twilight sky visible through the window, a promise of light in the gathering dark. As the weeks blurred into a tentative rhythm, Alex started coming over more, our afternoons stretching into evenings of shared silences and halting confessions. I'd cook his favorite spaghetti with meatballs, the sauce simmering like the slow boil of trust building between us while he sprawled at the kitchen table, sketching in his notebook. Art was his escape, he said, lines and colors where words failed. One night, over bowls of ice cream under the porch light, he showed me a drawing, 2 figures silhouetted against a city skyline, hands almost touching, the strokes bold yet hesitant. That's us, he murmured. Or me and Jamie. Or both. I nodded, throat tight, remembering how I'd once doodled Tommy's name in margins, erasing them before anyone could see. But secrets have a way of seeping out, like rain through cracked foundations. Laura called one crisp October morning, her voice edged with that familiar worry. Alex has been off. Nick. Quiet. You notice anything? My sister, ever the protector, with her laugh like mom's and eyes that saw too much. She'd raised Alex alone after her divorce, piecing together nursing shifts and PTA meetings in our sleepy town of Elmwood, where picket fences hid more than they revealed. He's a teenager, I hedged, stirring coffee to steady my hands. Hormones. School stress. Bring him over tonight, movie night. Like old times. She agreed, relief in her sigh, oblivious to the undercurrent pulling us all under. That evening, as rain pattered against the windows, Alex arrived with Jamie in tow, the 2 of them drenched and giggling, hoodies zipped high against the chill. Jamie was shorter than Alex, with curly red hair plastered to his forehead and a dimple that flashed when he smiled. 17. A junior with a knack for debate club arguments that could sway a jury. Uncle Nick. Thanks for the invite, Jamie said, shaking my hand with easy warmth, his green eyes sparkling. Alex shot me a look grateful, nervous, and I busied myself with popcorn, heart racing like it hadn't since my own fumbling youth. We settled in the living room, the old leather couch creaking under us, a classic like Stand By Me flickering on the screen, a story of boys on the cusp, friendships tested by truths too big to carry alone. Halfway through, as the characters rafted down that sun-dappled river, Alex's hand brushed Jamie's on the armrest. Neither pulled away. I pretended not to notice. But inside, a quiet joy bloomed, fragile as the wildflowers pushing through Elmwood's cracked sidewalks. Laura arrived late, slipping in with takeout tie, her scrubs still on from a double shift. Smells amazing in here, she said, ruffling Alex's hair. He tensed, glancing at Jamie, who waved cheerfully. Hey, Mrs. Harper. Loved the movie. River Phoenix was a legend. Dinner turned into an impromptu game night. Cards slapped down with laughter that chased shadows from the corners. But as the clock ticked past 10, Jamie's parents texted for pickup, and the boys shared a goodbye at the door that lingered a beat too long, a shoulder bump, a whispered joke, eyes locking in that electric way only the young can manage without apology. Laura watched from the kitchen, brow furrowed. They're thick as thieves. Huh, she said later, as we washed dishes side by side. Water splashed warm against my skin. A small mercy. Yeah, I replied, scrubbing a stubborn spot. Good for Alex. He needs friends like that. She paused, sponge dripping, and turned to me with that sisterly intuition sharp as a scalpel. Nick, is everything okay with him? Really? The question hung, heavy with the unsaid. I dried my hands, meeting her gaze blue like mine. Like Dad's, carrying the weight of our shared history. He's figuring things out. Now, like we all did. She nodded slowly, but doubt lingered in her eyes. A seed that would soon sprout thorns. November brought frost to the fields, turning Elmwood's cornstalks to brittle ghosts. And with it, the first real test of our fragile pact. Alex texted me one Tuesday after school. Can I come over? Need to talk. Bad. My classroom clock crawled to dismissal. Each tick a hammer on my nerves. When he burst through the door, cheeks streaked with tears, backpack abandoned in the hall, I knew before he spoke. Jamie. He told his parents. About us. They flipped. Said it's a phase. But he's not allowed to see me anymore. And now everyone's talking at school. He collapsed onto the couch, sobs racking his frame. And I knelt beside him, hand on his back, feeling the tremors like echoes of my own long-ago quake. Tommy's face flashed in my mind, his letter returned unopened. Our friendship severed by parental decree, leaving me adrift in a sea of pretense. Breathe. Alex. Just breathe. We sat in the gathering dusk, the house settling around us like a confessor, until his cries ebbed to hiccups. It hurt so much. He whispered. Like I'm wrong inside. You're not wrong, I said fiercely, cupping his face, thumbs brushing away tears. You're brave. Braver than I was at your age. I lost my first love because I was too scared to fight back. Don't make my mistakes. He searched my eyes, hungering for the story I'd guarded like a vault. And so, over mugs of hot cocoa laced with marshmallows, his ritual comfort, I began to unravel the threads. The fireworks. The whispers. Dad's ultimatum. How I dated girls in college. Mechanical kisses under stadium lights. All to prove I could fix what wasn't broken. How the journal became my silent rebellion. Pages filled with poetry and pain during lonely nights in my first apartment. The city lights of Columbus mocking my isolation. Alex listened. Rapt. The steam from his mug curling like question marks. Did you ever tell anyone? After Tommy. I shook my head. The admission bitter on my tongue. Not till now. Not till you. Dawn crept in with that confession. A pale light on new beginnings. But outside, the world waited unforgiving. Unyielding. Word spread through Elmwood like wildfire through dry grass. Whispers turning to stares in the grocery aisles. The school parking lot a gauntlet of sidelong glances. Laura confronted me the next weekend, storming into my kitchen with coffee in hand and fire in her eyes. What's going on with Alex and that boy? Parents are calling me. Nick saying their kids heard things. Her voice cracked. Maternal fear laced with confusion. I set down the spatula, eggs sizzling forgotten on the stove, and turned to face her. The air between us hummed with the ghosts of our upbringing, Dad's Bible on the mantel, Mom's gentle evasions. Lau. Sit. We need to talk. She did. Reluctantly. Her nurse's scrubs rumpled from another graveyard shift. I poured her coffee, black and strong like she liked, and started at the beginning, not just Alex's story, but mine. The journal. The moment he walked in. The shared vulnerability that bound us. Her face cycled through shock. Hurt. Understanding eyes widening like saucers. Then softening with tears. Why didn't you tell me? Nick. All these years. I thought you were just private. Not lonely. Because I was ashamed. I admitted. Voice rough. Dad made it clear, this family doesn't bend that way. But Alex. He's bending the world instead. And we have to help him stand tall. She reached across the table, her hand covering mine, calloused from holding lives in ER bays. Then we stand with him. God. Nick. I love you. Both of you. That hug. Fierce and flower-dusted. Mended something on Sienna's sibling rift I'd never named. Empowered by her alliance, we rallied. Alex and I attended a support group in Columbus. An hour's drive through fog-shrouded highways. The community center a beacon of rainbow flags fluttering like defiant prayers. There, amid folding chairs and styrofoam cups, he met other teens with stories mirroring his. Elders with scars turned to wisdom. His first meeting. He clutched my sleeve like a lifeline. But by the end, he was sharing. Voice steady. My uncle showed me it's okay to be me. Jamie's family, swayed by counselors and Laura's quiet advocacy, allowed supervised hangouts at the library awkward at first, hands shy across study tables, but blooming into notes passed and smiles reclaimed. Winter deepened, snow blanketing Elmwood in hush, and with it came holidays laced with new rituals. Thanksgiving at Laura's, the table groaning under turkey and pies. Alex sat beside Jamie, their knees brushing under the clothes' silent victory. Dad, now silver-haired and softened by time in his Florida retirement, joined via video call. His gruff, "Pass the gravy." Son, hiding the tremor when Alex mentioned his art club project, portraits of people who matter. I caught his eye on screen. A nod passing between us, forgiveness unspoken, but felt. Christmas Eve. Under strings of lights on my living room tree, Alex gifted me a new journal, leather-bound and embossed with stars. For the stories you tell now, he said, hugging me tight. Inside, the first page bore his sketch, two silhouettes, hands clasped, against a dawn horizon. I teared up, pulling him close, the pine scent mingling with the warmth of what we'd built. Spring thawed the ground, greening Elmwood's parks, and Alex's growth unfurled like the budding oaks. He and Jamie navigated junior year hand in hand literally. At prom, where they danced to slow songs under balloon arches. Laura snapping photos with misty eyes. I watched from the sidelines. Chaperone badge pinned like a badge of honor. Pride swelling as Alex led Jamie in a twirl. Laughter free and fierce. My own heart stirred to a tentative coffee date with Mark, the librarian from the support group. His gentle humor coaxing smiles I'd long forgotten. Our first walk by the river, hands brushing, felt like redemption, not a fix, but a fitting. Yet trials lingered. Shadows in the sun. School administrators called after a parent's complaint, demanding clarification on the lifestyle display in the halls. Laura and I met them in the principal's office. Voices united. Our son is thriving. That's the only display that matters. Alex testified too. Sketchbook in hand. Drawings of resilient figures speaking louder than words. They backed down. Policy shifting like spring winds. Summer arrived with fireflies and freedom. Alex turning 17 amid a backyard bash, Jamie at his side. Cake smeared on cheeks. Friends toasting with sodas. As dusk fell, he pulled me aside by the fire pit. Flames dancing in his eyes. Uncle Nick, you saved me. But I think we saved each other. I ruffled his hair, now longer and windswept. Voice thick. That's family. Kid. We've been together. By fall's cusp. As leaves turned again, Alex headed to college Scouts art programs in Chicago. Dreams big as the skyline. Jamie followed suit. Their letters a lifeline of sketches and sonnets. I stood at the train station, waving as the locomotive pulled him away. Journal in my pocket. Pages now filled with our shared saga. Mark's hand in mine grounded me. A future unfolding. Years folded like book pages. Alex's graduation. gallery openings where his portraits hung, mine among them, eyes alive with unspoken loves. Weddings followed his to Jamie under Ohio oaks, vows exchanged with the river as witness. I walked him down the aisle, Laura beaming beside, Dad in the front row, handkerchief dabbing eyes. Proud of you, son, he whispered to me later, arm around my shoulders. The words a bridge over chasms healed. In quiet moments, journal open on my knee, I trace our path from that shattering door creak to this tapestry of truths. Alex's words that day shook me awake, not to fear, but to fierce love. In America's heartland, where secrets once silenced us, we've carved a chorus of acceptance, of becoming. And in that song, we find our core unshakable, shining. The train's whistle faded into the distance, carrying Alex toward horizons I'd only dreamed of at his age. And I turned back to my car, Mark's steady presence a quiet anchor beside me. He'll do great things, Mark said, his voice warm as the coffee we'd shared that morning, fingers interlacing with mine in the parking lot's gravel crunch. At 44 now, with laugh lines etching deeper and a heart less guarded, I believed it not just for Alex, but for us all. Elmwood stretched behind us, its streets a map of milestones. The corner store where Alex had bought his first sketchpad with allowance money. The park bench where Jamie proposed with a ring etched in silver vines. Their engagement photo framed on my mantle like a talisman. Back home, the house felt fuller these days, photos of gatherings on every surface. Laura's artwork from her newfound pottery hobby splashed in blues and golds. She'd taken up the wheel after that pivotal Thanksgiving. Play a therapy for hands weary from healing others. Keeps me grounded, she'd say, wiping flour-dusted palms on her apron during our weekly dinners. Those evenings had become sacred, pot roast slow-cooked. Stories swapped like currency. Last week, she'd confessed her own buried ache, the loneliness post-divorce, the fear of starting over at 45. You and Alex. You showed me it's never too late to reshape things. We'd clinked glasses then, red wine glinting like rubies, toasting reinvention. But reinvention demands reckoning. And autumn brought one unbidden. A letter arrived in crisp envelope, postmarked Cleveland Tommy Riley. After all these years, my hands trembled opening it, the paper thin as memory. Nick, it began. Script familiar yet faded. Saw your name in the alumni newsletter. History teacher suits you. Been thinking about that summer. About us. Coffee sometime. Attached was a photo, him now, silver at the temples, arm around a husband with kind eyes. Their backyard barbecue, a tableau of lived love. I stared at it for hours. Journal open, but pen idle. Ghosts stirring. Mark found me there. Sunset painting the room amber. Old flame. He asked gently. No jealousy. Just curiosity. I nodded, passing the letter. He read, then set it down, pulling me close. Go. Close the circle. His embrace smelled of books and sandalwood, a scent that had become home. The next weekend, I drove the old route Interstate 71 north. Cornfields yielding to city sprawl, heart a drumbeat of what-ifs. Tommy waited at a corner cafe, unchanged in essence, grin crooked, eyes crinkling with that boyish spark. We hugged awkwardly, years melting in the squeeze, then sat with lattes steaming between us. Married now, he said, showing a ring etched with coordinates their first hike's peak. Came out at 25, after too many wrong turns. You. I told him everything, the journal, Alex's intrusion, the cascade of truths. His laugh was a balm, deep and forgiving. Kid shook you good. Huh. Wish I'd had an Alex back then. We walked the Cuyahoga River Trail after, leaves crunching underfoot, talking circuits of life unlived and lessons learned. At parting, his hand on my shoulder, You're the uncle I needed. Nick. Pass it on. Driving south. Windows down to taste the crisp air. I felt lighter unburdened. The past a companion. Not captor. Alex called that night from Chicago. Voice buzzing with exhibit nerves. First show's tomorrow, nervous as hell. I chuckled. Mark's head on my lap as we lounged on the couch. You'll kill it. Remember that portrait of us? That's your truth on canvas. He paused. Then, love you. Uncle Nick. Tell Mark hi. The line clicked. But the warmth lingered. A thread in our weaving tapestry. Winter holidays approached with their familiar frenzy. But this year, we expanded the circle. Laura hosted. Her home aglow with twinkle lights and the scent of gingerbread. Dad flew in from Florida. Came tapping steady. His once stern face softened by grandkid photos, Alex and Jamie's adoption papers fresh in his wallet. Boys got your eyes. He grumbled over eggnog. But pride gleamed through. Jamie's family joined too. Bridges mended over shared pies and apologies exchanged like gifts. Around the tree, stories flowed, Tommy's letter mentioned in passing. Laura's first pottery sale. Mark's promotion at the library. New Year's Eve. Snow dusting the backyard. Alex and Jamie announced their plans a cross-country road trip post-graduation. Chasing murals in every state. Document it all. I urged. Handing Alex a camera. Lens glinting like possibility. Your story's just starting. He hugged me fierce. Whispering. Ours never ends. Spring bloomed with graduations. Alex's art degree. Cap tassel swinging as he crossed the stage. Jamie whooping from the stands. I sat between Laura and Dad. Mark's hand in mine. Tears blurring the pomp. Afterward, at the reception, Alex dedicated his speech to the man who taught me to see colors in the shadows, me. Spotlight warm on my cheeks. To Uncle Nick, for the journal that opened doors. Summer wove us tighter wedding planning amid barbecues. Alex sketching invitations with intertwined vines. Mark and I eloped quietly in July. Courthouse vows under July's sun. Rings simple bands engraved with stars. Our constellation, he said, kissing me soft. Laura through the after-party. Balloons bobbing like dreams. Fall brought the ceremony, Ohio hillside. Oaks arching like cathedral. Alex radiant in linen suit. Jamie tearful in vows. In your light. I find my way. Rings exchanged. Cheers rose. Dad's beautiful, a whisper to Laura. As best man. I toasted. To love that endures seasons raw. Real. Ours. Years turned pages. Careers bloomed. Alex's gallery in Chicago. Jamie's graphic design firm. Visits filled with nieces. Their laughter echoing old joys. Mark and I fostered teens. Guiding their own unveilings. Journals passed like batons. One autumn eve. Journal opened by firelight. Alex now 30. Husband beside read my latest entry. Our core's unbreakable. I wrote. He smiled. Eyes wise. Shook you then. Shapes us now. In Elmwood's enduring rhythm. We've etched a legacy of moments caught. Words that heal. Lives unlived no more. Human. Heartfelt. Home. Decades whispered by like wind through the willows lining Elmwood's riverbank. And yet, in the quiet of my study, the journal remained its pages a chronicle thicker now. Ink faded but indelible. At 68. With silver threading my hair like frost on autumn grass and Mark's hand forever woven in mine. I traced the entries from that shattering October day, when Alex's voice pierced my solitude like dawn through storm clouds. He'd grown into a man whose art graced museums from coast to coast. Jamie his steadfast compass. Their home a haven of color and chaos in Chicago's bustling lofts. Visits brought grandchildren, 2 boys and a girl. all towhead whirlwinds with Alex's hazel eyes and Jamie's dimpled grins filling our home with crayon scribbles and questions that tugged at the heartstrings. One crisp September afternoon, as leaves pirouette in golden descent, Alex arrived unannounced, much like that fateful day 50 years prior, but now with purpose etched in his stride. "Uncle Nick," he called, voice rich with the timbre of lives fully lived. "Brought something." In his arms, a package wrapped in brown paper, tied with a new journal, bound in leather worn soft as memory. Its cover embossed not with stars, but a family tree, branches intertwining like our stories. Jamie followed, carrying a picnic basket, their daughter Lila skipping ahead, 5 and fierce, clutching a bouquet of wildflowers. "For the river," she declared, thrusting them at me with solemn gravity. We picnicked by that same Cuyahoga Bend where Tommy and I had once whispered dreams, now a sanctuary of willows and wild iris, the water murmuring secrets to the stones. Mark unpacked cheeses and breads, his movements deliberate, the arthritis in his hands a quiet companion we'd learned to dance with. Laura joined us, her pottery mugs steaming with cider, her laugh lines a map of joys reclaimed remarried to a gentle engineer named Tom. Their blended family a mosaic of second chances. Dad had passed a decade back. His final words to me a gruff, "Love hard, son," delivered bedside with a squeeze that mended lifetimes. As the sun dipped low, painting the sky in hues of peach and lavender, Alex pulled out an old photo album, its pages crackling like autumn leaves. "Found this in storage," he said, eyes misting. There we were, me at 16, arms slung around Tommy by the fireworks stand, Alex and Jamie at prom, ties askew and smiles defiant, our wedding portraits layered like palimpsests. Lila climbed into my lap, finger tracing a faded snapshot. "Who's that?" "Poppy Nick," she asked, her voice a melody of curiosity. "That's your dad when he was little," I replied, throat tight, catching a secret that changed everything. Alex leaned in, hand on my knee, and for a moment, we were backdoor creaking, journal tumbling, words shaking foundations. "You gave me the courage to build this," he murmured, gesturing to the circle, Jamie sketching Lila's portrait, Laura and Tom sharing a quiet laugh, Mark winking at me over his glasses. All of it. Dusk deepened, fireflies igniting like scattered stars, and stories unfurled around the blanket tales of triumphs and tumbles. Alex recounted his first gallery solo show, nerves frayed as that school confrontation, but applause thundering like validation. "Felt like you handing me the journal anew," he said. Jamie added the counterpoint, their adoption battles. Courtrooms cold as winter, but love's warmth winning the day. Lila, entranced, demanded more secrets, and we obliged with sanitized versions fireworks chases, river rafts, the magic of hands held in hidden glades. Night fell gentle, stars wheeling overhead, and as we packed away remnants, Alex lingered by the water's edge. "Ever regret not telling sooner?" he asked, skipping a stone that danced 4 times before surrender. I joined him, arm around his shoulders broader now, but the boy's still there. "Regret's a thief," I said, "but you made it a gift." We stood in companionable silence, the river's song a lullaby of what endures. Back home, journal open under lamplight, I penned the day's grace, picnics by rivers, albums of us, a granddaughter's wildflowers. Mark read over my shoulder, chin on my shoulder. "Beautiful," he whispered, kiss light on my temple. Sleep came easy that night, dreams woven of circles unbroken. Winter's hush-blanketed Elmwood once more. Holidays a symphony of lights and laughter. Lila's first big kid Christmas, her eyes wide at the tree's glow, demanding stories of Uncle Nick's magic book. We gathered extended kin now, tables groaning with roasts and reminiscences. Alex led a toast, to cores shaken, and soul steadied. Glasses chimed, echoes of that first cocoa mug. Spring heralded changes, Alex's retrospective exhibit in New York. Walls alive with our lineage portraits of me mid-confession. Laura at the wheel. Dad's shadowed smile. We flew east. Mark's hand steady in mine through turbulence. Pride blooming as critics lauded a family's raw renaissance. At the opening, Alex dedicated it to the moment that made us. Plaque gleaming, for Uncle Nick words that woke worlds. Summer scorched gentle. Road trips echoing their youthful jaunt now with Lila buckled in back. Quizzing on colors and constellations. Why's the sky blue? Poppy, she'd ask. And I'd spin tales of light bending brave. Like hearts learning to love aloud. Fall's palette returned. Lila starting school. Her backpack a echo of Alex's. Drop-off tears from Jamie. Hugs from us all. Full circle. Laura noted over coffee. Her pottery studio thriving. Mugs shipped nationwide. As leaves fell, a letter arrived from Tommy again. This time with news, his husband's passing. Grief's shadow long. We met in Cleveland. Coffee's cooling as he unburdened. Your story with Alex. It gave me words for my own. Hugs at parting. Promises of more. Winter waned into renewal. Lila's kindergarten play her as a firefly. Wings fluttering fierce. Backstage. Alex beamed, like you. Dad lighting the dark. Through season's wheel. Our core remains, shaken once. Steadfast always. In journals and journals past. We write the human hymn love's quiet revolution. Enduring as the rivers flow. Time. That relentless sculptor. Carved deeper grooves into our days. Yet the essence held unyielding. Luminous. At 72. My steps slowed to a thoughtful amble. Mark's arm my favorite crutch through Elmwood's leaf-strewn paths. Our conversations a tapestry of yesterdays and tomorrows. Alex. In his mid-40s now. Balanced canvas and fatherhood with the grace of one who'd learned early that vulnerability is the truest strength. His latest series, Echoes of Open Doors, toured galleries. Each piece a portal, swirling oils of journal pages unfurling like wings. Silhouettes clasped against tempests, colors bleeding from shadow to blaze. One balmy June eve, as cicadas chorused their summer serenade, he called with urgency masked in excitement. Exhibit opening in D. C. Come. Lila's performing too. School choir at the Smithsonian. We packed light with my worn journal. Mark with his dog-eared mystery novel and boarded the train. Windows framing America's heartland rush, amber waves under azure skies. Cities pulsing like veins. Lila met us at Union Station. 8 now and all coltish limbs. Hugging fierce with whispers of missed you. Poppy Nick. The gallery hummed with patrons in tailored suits. Champagne flutes tinkling like chimes. But Alex sought us first. Apron dusted in paint. Eyes alight. Walk with me. We toured his world. Shaken core loomed largest. A triptychum on knees with book. Alex's young face intruding. Then us arm in arm by riverlight. Your story. Our spark. He said. Voice low amid murmurs. A curator approached. Silver-haired and sharp. Raw power here family as revolution. Alex nodded. Glancing at Lila rehearsing nearby. Her voice soaring in harmony. Post-opening. We dined at a riverside bistro. Potomac glittering under moon. Dishes of crab cakes and corn pudding evoking Ohio roots. Lila regaled with choir tales. I'm the loudest firefly. Drawing laughs that bridged generations. Jamie raised a glass to doors we dared open. Later, as fireworks burst for Independence Day, colors cascading like emotions long bottled. I pulled Alex aside. Proud doesn't cover it. Kid. He grinned. That boyish flash, you started the boom. Dawn broke with wandering Smithsonian halls echoing our steps. Exhibits of civil rights marches mirroring our quiet uprising. Lila tugged at artifacts. Did people fight for love too? Alex knelt. Honest. Every day. Sweetheart. Like your dad's and Poppy. Her nod solemn. Absorbing like sponge. Return train lulled us. Lila dozing on Jamie's lap. Mark and I sharing headphones for old jazz tunes. Full life. He murmured. Head on my shoulder. I squeezed his hand. Rings worn smooth as our vows. Autumn called us home. Elmwood's fairs in full swing, pumpkin patches and hayrides. Air sweet with cider. Laura's booth showcased her ceramics. Vessels glazed in earth tones. Each a vessel for stories. Sold 3 today? She crowed. Hugging tight. Tom manned the grill. Burgers sizzling. Their kids now teens flirting with futures. Dad's absence lingered in empty chairs. But his spirit in toasts. To the old man who'd love this chaos. Halloween brought Lila for trick or treat. Her witch hat askew. Pillowcase bulging with sweets. Best candy ever. She declared. Sorting loot by firelight. Story spun late. My Tommy escapades. Sanitized for giggles. Alex's prom nerves. Jamie's proposal fumble. Laughter wove warmth against night's chill. Winter wrapped gentle. Holidays amplified by snowmen in the yard. Lila's carrot nose crooked. Mark's scarf jaunty. Christmas morn. Gifts unwrapped to ooze. Alex's custom paints. My leather-bound memoir draft. Write it all. He urged. Our legacy. New Year dawned crisp. Resolutions whispered. More travels. Deeper digs into roots. Spring unearthed genealogy trips back to Cleveland. Tracing great-grandparents' immigrant steps. Tales of Ellis Island, hopes mirroring our hidden yearnings. Summer sizzled with lake house rentals. Canoes slicing blue waters. Lila's splashes echoing freedoms. Evenings by bonfires. Esmore sticky. Songs strummed on Jamie's guitar, ballads of outlaws and lovers. Hearts unbridled. Fall's harvest moon-lit family reunions. Tables laden with pies from Laura's kiln-fired fruits. Lila. 10 now. Sketch portraits. Capturing essences, my thoughtful gaze. Mark's wry smile. Through it. Challenges crept Mark's knee surgery. My fading sight, but we leaned. Like willows by the bend. Alex's exhibit controversies sparked debates. But he stood firm. Art's truth. Not comfort. One eve. Journal filling with exhibit notes. Lila curled beside. Tell me the shaking story again. I did. Voice steady. Her eyes wide, firefly fierce. In time's gentle chisel. We emerge refined. Cores once quaked. Now quartz clear. Enduring. Love sculpture. Human and holy. The calendar flipped relentlessly. Seasons blurring into a montage of milestones. Each one a brushstroke in the masterpiece Alex had long envisioned. At 76. My world contracted to cherished circles, Elmwood's library nooks, where Mark volunteered. Reading to wide-eyed tots. Laura's studio. Now a community hub for clay and conversation. Alex's virtual check-ins from Chicago. His face pixelated but presence palpable. Lila. Blossoming into a 12-year-old with Alex's artistic fire and Jamie's quiet resolve. Dominated our calls. Brandishing half-finished canvases or violin bows. Poppy Nick. Critique this. She'd demand. Holding up abstracts that screamed emotion, swirls of blue for longing. Reds for rage quelled. One sweltering August. They descended en masse for a legacy weekend. As Alex dubbed a tents pitched in my backyard. Esmore's kits at ready. A bonfire pit dug deep. The air hummed with reunion, Cousins tumbling in grass. Laura's pies cooling on sills. Tom's grill smoking brisket. Lila led a story circle, insisting we each share a shaken moment. Mark went first, recounting his own coming out at 22. Disowned briefly by Midwestern kin, only to be reclaimed by love's persistence. Shook me to friends who became family. He said, "Eyes on me." Laura followed, voice steady over crackling flames. My divorce felt like earthquake. But it unearthed you, Nick. And Alex's truth. Rebuilt stronger. Lila's turn was a giggle fest, falling off my bike last spring scary. But Dad caught me. Like always. Jamie's was tender, proposing to Alex, heart pounding. But his yes. Solid ground. Then Alex. Firelight dancing on his face. Lined now with laugh-etched wisdom. That door. That journal your words. Uncle. Shook my silence. Started our song. All eyes turned to me. Embers glowing like expectant stars. I cleared throat. Journal and lap like talisman. The moment you spoke. It wasn't just shock. It was salvation. I'd hidden so long. My core cracked. You mended it with your courage. Hugs encircled. Lila's arms tightest. You're my hero. Poppy. Dawn broke with bird calls. Breakfast a sprawl of pancakes and plans. We hiked the river trail. Lila collecting stones for memory cairns. Stacking them high, one for Tommy's letter. One for Dad's bedside grace. Alex sketched the scene. Jamie photographing. Mark and I trailing. Hands linked. Breath synced. Afternoons wandered to the high school me old stomping grounds. Now Alex's guest lecture spot for art class. Kids hung on his tails. Fears the blank canvas fill it bold. Q&A turned personal, a shy boy asking, "How'd you know it was okay to be different?" Alex glanced at me, an uncle's truth. Passed it on. Evenings brimmed with board games and ballads. Lila's violin weaving melancholy airs. One night, stars thick overhead. She confided by the fire. School kids tease say boys can't like boys like my dad's. But I tell 'em stories. Yours. Pride swelled. Fierce as parent although not blood. Every bit kin. They departed Monday. Van laden with pies and promises. Lila waving till out of sight. House echoed empty. But journal brimmed. Cairns by rivers. Violins under stars. Legacies stacked. Fall frosted gentle. Elmwood's harvest dance a whirl of squares and fiddles. Laura and Tom hosted. Lila twirling in skirts. Her steps a blend of grace and glee. Dance like no one's watching. Alex texted mid-waltz. Photo attached us all. Arms linked. Faces flushed. Winter whispered in with first snows. Holidays a hearth glow haven. Lila's gift, a painted rock cairn. Colors vivid. For your stories. Poppy. We read by tree light. Her head on my knee. Absorbing arcs of acceptance. Spring sprouted school plays Lila as scout in To Kill a Mockingbird. Her Atticus lines ringing true. You never really understand. Until you climb into his skin. Backstage roses. Alex's whisper, like you taught me. Summer splashed with campouts. Tents by lakes. Ghost stories scaring shrieks. Lila's first crush confession, a girl with braids met with Alex's nod. Love's colorblind. Chase the heart. Fall's equinox brought Alex's book launch. Cores unshaken. Memoir illustrated with his art. My journal excerpts woven in. Signing lines snaked. Fans sharing parallels. Your story freed mine. Lila hawked copies. Entrepreneurial spark alight. Through Tempesta health scare for Mark. Chemo's shadow brief, but sharp we held. Alex flew in. Hands steady on hospital beds. Lila's drawings taping walls like talismans. One eve. Recovered and resilient. We picnicked Cairn taller. Stones from D. C. Chicago. Elmwood. Lila. 14 now. Violin case slung. Mused. Think we'll have more shakes. Alex ruffled her hair. Only the good kind growth quakes. Journal closed on that. Stones stacked. Violins sung. Hearts harmonized. Time sculpts. But love endures vibrant. Victorious. As the 80s dawned on my timeline 80 now. A number that felt more milestone than milestone life's canvas stretched vast. Painted in broad strokes of quiet triumphs and tender farewells. Mark and I had traded the big house for a cozy bungalow near the river. Its walls lined with Alex's prints and Lila's evolving abstracts. Windows framing willows that whispered of continuity. Weekly walks kept us mobile. His cane tapping rhythm to our banter. My arm his steadying star. 80 looks good on you. He'd tease. Dimples deepening. And I'd retort. Only 'cause you're the frame. Alex. Pushing 50 with the vitality of 40. Helmed a Chicago arts nonprofit Bridges. He named it. Fostering LGBTQ plus youth creators. Scholarships seeded from his first exhibit sales. Jamie managed the home front. Their firm now a hub for inclusive designs. Logos blooming with pride flags subtle as secrets once were. Lila. 16 and stormbright. Navigated high school with violin scholarships and a girlfriend named Sora, soft-spoken artist with ink-stained fingers, their handholds in hallways, an echo of Alex's prom defiance. A letter arrived that spring. Envelope embossed with Bridges logo, an invite to their annual gala. Theme, Roots and Rivers. Honorary keynote. Alex wrote. Your words started the flow. We flew mid-bloom. Cherry blossoms, confetti, and hair. Lila meeting us with hugs and a tour of her dorm posters of Frida and us. Violin propped like sentinel. Gala night glittered. Venue a converted warehouse. Beams strung with lights like fireflies captured. Tables groaned with fusion Faro pierogies meets Chicago deep dish patrons, a mosaic of allies and trailblazers. Lila performed opener. Violin soaring through a piece she'd composed, Doorway Dawn. Notes cascading from minor tremors to major keys triumphant. Applause thundered. Her blush fierce as she bowed to us. Alex took stage. Mic warm in hand. Tonight, we honor roots, the ones that shake us loose. Slides flickered, my journal scan. That first photo of him and Jamie. Lila's childhood Karen. Then me. Pulled on stage. Lights soft. Uncle Nick. He said. Voice cracking just so. You caught me watching once long after that door. Said I had your fire. But truth. You kindled it. Laughter rippled. Tears too. I spoke brief, shakes build bridges. Crossed them bold. Embrace followed. Family flood, on stage Jamie. Lila. Sora. Even Laura via video. Her pottery wheel paused. After party spilled to rooftop. City sprawl twinkling below. Toasts flowing like the river we'd left. Lila confided over mocktails, Sora's parents. Tricky. Like yours were. I nodded. Arm around her. Time tempers. Love outlasts. Sora joined shy. Stories swapping her Japanese-American heritage. Blended holidays. Shared canvases. Dawn crept. Goodbyes lingering at gates. Come home soon. Lila urged. Violin case thumping back. Train south rocked us. Mark dozing. Journal opened to gala notes. Bridges built. Violins victorious. Summer simmered with visits, Lila and Sora for art camp. Easels in the yard. Paint splattering like joy. They hiked with us. Hands linked casual. Discussing futures, Juilliard dreams. Gallery gigs. Evenings. Violins duet with Mark's harmonica. Melodies mending minor keys. Fall foliage framed a surprise, Tommy's visit. Widowed now, but winged with travel tales. We dined riverfront. His stories of global loves mirroring ours. Your Alex changed the game. he said, toasting. Lila grilled him on adventures. Eyes wide. Winter warmed with holidays. Lila home. Sora too. Families merging over lakhs and lights. Gifts, her composition sheet music. Inscribed for the shaker. Spring burst with graduations. Lila's high school cap toss. Violin valediction, doors open when we speak. College scouts swarmed. Offers from coasts. Summer sailed with road trips. Lila and Sora east. Us west for Mark's bucket list canyons. Vistas vast as our shared vistas. Fall's chill brought Alex's scare routine, check flagging shadows. Biopsies blurring days. We rallied, flights north. Hands held in sterile weights. Benign. Blessed relief gala rematch. Toasts to survivals. Through it. Lila's letters, shakes pass. Strings play on. One eve. Bungalow lamplit. Journal brimming. Mark mused, our river runs deep. I kissed his brow, endless. With you. Time's brush broadens. Hues harmonize roots river deep. Unshakably ours. Nearing the 90s threshold 84. Where days dawdled like lazy rivers, our bungalow became a beacon. Its porch swing creaking under weights of wisdom and whimsy. Mark's stories now outnumbered steps. His chair by the window a throne for tales. While I tended the journal. Entries shorter but sharper. Distilling decades to diamonds. Alex's bridges burgeoned. Chapters nationwide. Youth voices amplified in murals from L.A. to Miami. Jamie's designs graced billboards. Symbols of solidarity subtle, yet seismic. Lila, 20 now. Straddled worlds. Juilliard Jr. by day. Sora's partner by night. Their Brooklyn walk-up a whirlwind of scores and sketches. Quarterly flights bridged gaps. Her arrivals heralded by violin cases and bear hugs. Poppy Nick. New piece listen. She'd command. Bow dancing air. Notes narrating her navigations. Majors for mending hearts. Minors for memories shaken. One golden October. She orchestrated a homecoming concert, Elmwood's Old Theater. Seats filled with kin and community. Backstage buzzed, Laura adjusting mics. Her pottery mugs steaming backstage brew. Tom wrangling programs. Alex fine-tuning lights. Jamie snapping candids. Sora warmed up beside. Flute trilling tandem. Nervous? I asked Lila. Costume shimmering. She grinned. Alex's echo, shakes fuel the song. Curtain rose to packed house locals who'd whispered once now cheering loud. Lila's opus opened, Chorus Symphony. Movements mirroring Usadagio for hidden hurts. Allegro for revelations. Finale fortissimo for families forged. Midpiece. She dedicated. To Uncle Nick the first note. Tears blurred my view. Mark's hand vice tight. Intermission spilled stories. Old students of mine. Graying but grateful. Tommy. Front row. Nodding to motifs from our youth. Encore brought encores. Lila and Sora duetting. Then all on stage for folk medley. Voices weaving like willows. Afterglow at the bungalow, pies devoured. Photos poured. Lila confessed over cider. This town's changed rainbow crosswalks now. You're doing. I chuckled, ours. Collective quake. Winter wove woolens and wonders holidays hybrid. Zoom toasts with Brooklyn. In-person feasts with Laura. Lila's gift, engraved bow strings of strength. Spring unfurled Juilliard Tales masterclasses. Crushes navigated. Sora's gallery gig. We're building our bridge. She'd say. Photos attached, hands in paint pots. Summer scorched with retreats, bungalow bunk-ins. Lila teaching violin to neighborhood kids. Beau's budding confidence. Evenings. Jam sessions, her strings. Mark's hums. My journal recitals. Fall's harvest hosted weddings. Sora's cousins. Lila maid of honor. Speech sparkling, loves the shake that steadies. We dance slow. Mark whispering, our waltz endures. Through trialsa fall for me. Hips mended, but mobility mindful we adapted, ramps added. Care circles widened. Alex coordinated. Lila's calls daily. Play for me. Poppy your voice. The melody. One dusk. Swing swaying. Journal shared. Lila read aloud. Her inflections infusing life. Hearts quake. But harmonies heal. Mark slumbered beside. Breath even. Our symphony. I murmured to stars. Time tempers tone 86 dawns. Notes nobler. Unshaken. The 90s crested gent 88. Where mirrors reflected not frailty, but fortitude. Lines like ledgered loves. Bungalow breathed easy. Aids assisting with grace. Mark and I tandem in twilight talks. His wit sharper than sight dimmed. Alex's empire of empathy expanded bridges academies. Scholarships sprouting stories like his. Lila. 24. Concertmaster rising. Sora's murals mapping metropolises. Their union a quiet ceremony in Central Park. Vows under autumn arches. In every shake. We stand. We attended virtual. Screens framing Joy Lila's violin serenade streaming. Alex's toast teary. From one door to forever. Rings exchanged. Petals pixelated. But love landed full. Postnuptials. They honeymooned local Hudson Valley hikes. Returning with honey jars and hearth tales. Your journal inspired our vows. Lila said. Video call vivid. Wrote our own pages. Winter's whites welcomed Wonder's grandniece born to Laura's youngest. Tiny fists clutching hope. Lila cooed via FaceTime. Auntie Lil's first pupil violin someday. Spring sketched Symphony's Lila's Carnegie debut. Bow commanding hall. Core's echo encore demanded. We watched streamed. Hearts swelling with string stretch. Summer simmered reunions bungalow bash. Kin converging, Alex gray flecked. Jamie's hugs hearty. Lila and Sora with sketches of the Sprague. Games gambled. Grills groaned. Ghosts of gatherings past. Fall's finery framed farewells marks quiet exit. Autumn afternoon. Hand in mind to the last breath. Shook the world with you. He whispered. Grief gusted. But grace gathered, Alex's flight immediate. Lila's lament a lullaby. Memorial by river. Karen crowned with his harmonica. Tunes tolling tolerance. Lila played Doorway Dawn. Notes navigating sorrow to solace. Winter waned wistful. Journal joint entries elegiac. Yet elevated. Lila visited often. Bow beside bed. His harmony lingers. Spring spurred stirrings Lila's pregnancy announced. Ultrasound shadows like scores. Your great-grandshake. She teased. Summer sunlit with ultrasounds. Kicks composing kicks. Fall's foliage framed birth boy. Bowen. Bawling bold. Held him high. Mark's echo. Through 9 decades notes. Cores composed shaken symphonies. Eternally entwined.